My first manager got me a platinum record that he placed. He took my beat, turned it into a platinum record.
When should I get a manager? When you have something to manage. Like that's a lazy response and not really conducive to how like people are building things.
The average manager doesn't just find a producer who has nothing and get them a platinum plaque. Speaking of that, you wanted to talk about Megan Thee Stallion versus Nicki Minaj, right?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I started watching an interview. Joyner Lucas is on Matt Hoffa's podcast. I think it's his most recent interview. It's himself, and then his manager is on the interview as well. I believe his name is Drew. But they're on it together. I haven't finished the whole conversation, but it's interesting. I just want people to know, like, when artists talk about their label situation, their label stories, there's several sides to everybody's story. I have no idea if people are telling the truth or they're not. I don't know them personally. I can only go based off what they're saying. I can go based off what I've experienced in the music industry, but it sounded like a very genuine conversation. He tells the story of just kind of his management situation, how he met his manager. And then as they started to get some progress independently, they were introduced to Sha Money, or I think Sha Money reached out on Facebook, and there was the potential of like a co-management situation. And I've seen this happen a number of times, or just kind of from an artist perspective, like thinking through, like you have your manager and you're pursuing things independently. And as you get to a certain point, somebody more experienced comes in and offers to co-manage. And I just want to talk through like some of the things you might think about if that is a situation that you ever find yourself in. Because I feel
what's crazy? Because I was talking to Sha Money about submitting records for the Joyner Lucas projects, and this was a long time ago, right? When this happened.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah. And I was just figuring, okay, Sha Money just, he's Sha Money. He knows talent, so he is not working with Joyner. That's just how it is.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, like if somebody else came into the picture, if at the end of the day, if it was better for the artist or better for the label, then let's have that conversation. But I think a lot of older managers pursue these younger acts, and you might even look up to this person because this person has a name and you've known like all of the things that they've done, but it may not be the healthiest situation. And I would you should never rush into a management situation in general, but especially when you think of bringing another person in, what's that communication going to be like? What's that workflow going to be like? Who's going to be responsible for what? What does the compensation look like? Is it, okay, it was an 80-20 situation with my manager. Am I just getting this person and then the managers are going to split 20, so they get 10 each? What does that look like, right? So obviously your initial manager is going to feel some type of way because now his money theoretically is getting cut in half, with the hope that you grow the pie 2, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times as big so that they're not losing any money. But that's not going to happen right away, right? And when should this new manager start commissioning revenue? Should it be right when he starts? Should it be after he's worked a little bit of time? Like, these are all the questions that you need to ask. It's not as simple as, okay, this is my manager that's gotten me to this point. He does these things well. Oh, wow, if I just add the relationships and the connections that this manager can bring on, oh, we're going to be to the moon after this. Like, it's not that simple. I think so I would always just kind of take a step back, have the conversation with your initial manager, like, sort through some of his or her concerns, and just make sure you're on the same page. So I'm not sitting here saying that situation could never work, but I just understand why there's some initial excitement and how you can rush into that, right? And then you get caught in maybe that manager doesn't really understand how independent artists move these days. He doesn't really understand, what exactly you're doing. And maybe it's the manager that you've been rocking with that has a better idea of like what the long-term vision is and knows kind of social media and short form content and things like that. So long story short, just don't rush into situations like, and I don't think he did. I got to finish the conversation. I don't know if he ever put Shaw Money on the management team. I know that they continued conversations and Shaw Money was trying to get them a deal. But I got to finish it. But that part stood out to me. Also, like I thought it was a healthy conversation, and I love that the manager was on there, and they seem to have a pretty genuine and great relationship. And that I'm definitely pretty envious of that because that's not what I had with Hop. I definitely have that now with Big Ja. Like if normally people just want to talk to the talent, but if it's a conversation about the business, then I think it makes a lot of sense for the manager to be there to kind of fill in some
Oh,
gaps.
can we talk about that?
What do you mean?
People, so like a lot of producers and rappers and songwriters and whatever creative role they're playing, they want managers just to say they have a manager, especially if the manager has some kind of accolades that they can flaunt around, right? Me, to an extent, I felt like that very early in my career. And I'm like, man, I need a manager that's actually going to help me. And I know what I need help with because I've been doing so much for so long. And I've found success doing it. I do this for a living. It's not like I just started making beats yesterday. But like the decision to hire on management is, it should be an intentional decision. For me, it's a decision that comes with very clear intent. And so what frustrates me to no end is when it's hard for me to trust people to handle my business. And so when you're working with a manager for a while, I really value them because I don't have to explain anything. I don't have to explain and re-explain. We've already been through this. So they're getting their 20% based on them handling something for me correctly, well, and without stressing me out about it. That's why I'm paying them. I could do it myself, but I want to do other things with my life and time, and they do this thing well, better than I could, and that's what the relationship is. And then you got people contacting me all the time for stuff where I say, okay, my management handles that. A day later, I get a text back from them. Okay, so your manager's saying, like, bitch, this is not how this works. Please continue the conversation with my management. So that happens a lot. I see that happen all the time where people will try to sidestep the management and backdoor the manager, or if they're frustrated with the manager. It's like, if you got to renegotiate with them. Like if it comes down to me needing to be involved in this, that's what my manager is going to do. But stop sidestepping them. I just feel like that's a really unprofessional move in the music business, but unfortunately it happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why it's super important for you to be super locked in, with your manager, because sometimes, if people continue to hit the artist up, that's what starts to plant the seed in the artist's mind. Like, well, maybe I don't need this person.
If you're a dumbass artist, yeah.
Yeah, but like maybe I can handle these negotiations on my own.
Wait a minute, but that's a strategy too, because a lot of times they're backdooring the manager because the manager is asking for too much. The manager is really protecting the artist, and they know that. So it's like, well, let me just get in this dumbass artist's head or this stupid ass producer's head and say, oh yeah, you're just doing. I don't have to feel like your manager is holding you back. You could come get this bag, but your manager is just trying to get blah blah blah. And then the artist says, oh yeah, maybe the manager is holding me back. Maybe the manager isn't working for my best interest. And then they drop the manager, get a third of what the manager was going to get them.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, that manager is still moving on and moving forward, and they're all fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I only manage Big Ja and Persephone, but I work with a lot of creators, because we have partnership with brands that we're sometimes able to extend to other people in our network. And some of these creators make that terrible mistake as well in terms of like cutting me out of future deals, right? And if they do that, then I'll never work with them again, number one. But number two, you will probably make less money in the long run, right? Because if I introduce you to a brand and I kind of quarterback that relationship or that potential partnership, the first time, let's just say you make $5,000, you give me 25% or whatever, and now you saw that email on the thread and you're cutting me out and you're going directly to that brand because you saw their email and you're carrying on the relationship. The next time, if the campaign did well, like how do you know how much more you're worth? Like, I'm probably better equipped to have that conversation. So not only did you burn a bridge with me, you're probably making less money. I could have negotiated for my percentage and some, but instead you wanted to get greedy, cut me out of the deal. Now I'm pissed, and I'm never ever sending you another brand partnership ever again. And now you're probably making less money than you could, but you get it all. So it doesn't really. I've seen so many creators have made that mistake. If somebody introduces you to a brand, keep them involved. That's their relationship. Or at least have the conversation, hey, Dame, is it cool if I, continue this partnership? What does that look like? Do you expect to be a part of this going forward? Just don't just cut somebody out if somebody has brought an opportunity to the table, because there's a very high likelihood if they brought you that opportunity, there's many more that they can bring you in the future. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, and just let the manager manage too. I remember the one time I was managing an artist, actually co-managing with my current booking manager, and the artist went rogue and just went off and shot a music video, recorded a song, shot a music video for this viral marketing group. It involved marketers and videographers. I can't tell you much about them because I wasn't involved. I just know that their projects always went viral. And so, and this was a while ago. This was before TikTok, et cetera. So virality back then, I think, was more shocking and less tangible. And so you really had to be on it. Nowadays something goes viral, it's a lot easier to monetize because there are just way more opportunities. Back then, nah. So this goes viral on YouTube. It went viral on some news sources, and we have a meeting with the artist, and we're like, "So you just went off and did this without telling us?" Yeah. Okay. All right. Did you get paid for it? I don't know. Oh, okay. Do you own equity in the song? I don't know. Can you repost the video? I don't know. Okay, I see that the song is being sold on these platforms. What is your split? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a team, you should be on the same page, in the same boat, paddling in the same direction. I wouldn't try to isolate anybody. I wouldn't try to, go out and do your own thing to prove some kind of point. If you're unhappy in a situation, just have the conversation and figure out how to go your separate ways. It typically doesn't end well when an artist just starts doing their own thing, cuts off communication. It just normally doesn't go well. There's no point of even having a manager at that point if you're going to sidestep them, or go around their back, or just do things on your own. So, what's the point? But
but people act like having a manager is like having a new chain or a designer T-shirt. You know what I mean? It's just a vanity thing.
It can be a lot for a lot of people. For a lot of people, it is. And then for other people, it's just I want a manager because I need help. Well, what do you need a manager for? He's like, well, I just need help. You should be ready for a manager. I have a disagreement with the people that say, oh, you get a manager when you have something to manage. I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like, once you have somebody that is passionate and is proven that they can be a good fit for you and just a great fit for that management role, you can create something together, and if we're starting from scratch, that conversation might be different from a compensation perspective. It might not be your standard 80-20 if you're building something from scratch. But I feel like, as soon as you find somebody that's dedicated, committed, understands your vision, you work well with them, even if you don't have anything going on now, work as a team and start creating something together. I see nothing wrong with that, because a lot of it typically comes from either older managers or people that just like to parrot other managers. They'd be like, "Oh, when should I get a manager?" When you have something to manage. Like, that's a lazy response, and not really conducive to how, like, people are
Yeah.
building things today, in my
Well, I
opinion.
mean, I think it tends to be true. It's like when someone says, "When do I get a deal?" And it's like, "Well, when you have leverage," which is probably the a best practice, but it doesn't encompass every scenario,
Right.
even favorable scenarios. So I feel like when people are asking, "When do I get a manager?" they probably need to hear when you have something to manage, just because you know where they're coming from. They're frustrated. They don't know what's going on. They don't have a plan. They don't have a strategy. So when a manager says, "Well, come back to me when you have something to
Yeah.
manage,"
You
I
shouldn't.
get that.
I don't think. I mean, you shouldn't expect a manager until you have something significant going on, and maybe you should operate and never be expecting a manager. Um,
Yeah,
I just know that if somebody's super talented, has a great vision, not me today, but like younger me would have, had that conversation to see if it would have made sense, to start building from zero.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
my first manager built from zero. My first manager got me a platinum record that he plays. He took my beat, turned it into a platinum record, and I would not have done that without him. And did he need to do that? No, I don't think he was. Managers don't do that. They tend not to do that. Some
They
do.
don't. What do you mean? They don't.
Like the average manager doesn't just find a producer who has nothing and get them a platinum plaque.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the I mean, that shouldn't be the expectation in terms of the result. Um, but a manager, if you're managing, I've never managed a producer. I would imagine that part of what they should be doing, though, is trying to find, additional opportunities for your music. So if that's sending
Yeah,
beats, getting you in studio sessions, things like that. So are you saying the result of a platinum record, most managers can't make that happen?
just I didn't have anything. I had nothing but beats. I had no track record. I had no previous placements, and this manager ends up getting some huge opportunities just by sheer willpower. Because he was new. He didn't really understand the music business either. He was just trying to figure stuff out. And it wasn't just me, it was other producers and songwriters that he was working with who are now at the top of the industry and who got um, some of their first big opportunities through him. And we had nothing to manage. We had nothing. I just had beats that I would email him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we could say, yeah, yeah. When you have something to manage, figure it out. But to me, it's like this. It would like rappers contact me every day and say, "Hey, do you know anyone looking for rappers to sign?" And it's like that's not how that shit works. Hey, do you know any managers looking for rappers to sign? That's not how that works.
Yeah. There are no, I mean, I don't feel like there's any credible managers that are just like, open for business, looking for artists. Like, artists are everywhere, right? Like, I mean,
No, that manager is going to charge you a management fee, a setup fee, a startup fee. They're going to make you sign something weird. Yeah, nah.
yeah, because the quality managers are being sent artists all the time. Like when it was when people thought I was looking for, or even to this day, like, people still think I'm looking for artists to manage, and so people are sending me, what do you think of this person, what do you think of this person? um, at the end of the day, I feel like artists should move like you're gonna have to do all of this shit by yourself forever, right? So learn how to do as much as you can, become as efficient as possible, get organized, and just move like nobody is ever coming to help, because it may be a very long time before somebody credible and willing to kind of passionately step into that role does show up.
Yeah, and you'll win like that because out of necessity, you will learn everything you need. Hopefully, if you're swimming rather than sinking, you'll learn everything on your own. And so the next time someone does come along and offer management or collaboration or anything, you know what you need, and you can look at what they're doing and, number one, better express to them what you need, and number two, create better checks and balances where you know you've communicated to them exactly what you need. You understand your career, you understand your strategy, and if they're not sticking to that, you can tell them, and if they continue to not stick to that, then cool, then that they're not a good fit. But you won't know that. I mean, there are so many artists out there who have managers who are just either not doing anything for them or holding them back, and they don't know because the artist expects the manager to do everything, and they feel like they have no business learning how the music industry operates because they're the artist, and they were taught that the artists make art and the management handles business. Vice versa, there are a lot of managers that don't know what's going on, and the artist is going to surpass them. So, or I don't know. There are all kinds of toxic management artist relationships out there. Just learn what you can so you don't end up in one of them.
So I would love, I know I threw this out there jokingly on Twitter, but I would love to like start a service that just kind of helps teams through their problems, right? Whether it's an artist that's disgruntled, or a manager, or maybe both of them, or maybe a label is having a problem with their artist. Like, I would love to kind of help mediate the situation, because obviously my shit crashed and burned, and we only reached, a very small percentage of what I think our potential could have been. If there is a team with potential, I don't want to see that continue to happen. And it happens all the time. And sometimes for some very dumb reasons. It typically comes down to communication. So if I could help, resolve some of these issues for teams, like that would be a pretty dope service to provide. So if anybody's listening to this and you're currently in a dispute, whether you're a manager with an artist, or a label with an artist, or vice versa, hit me up, and let's see if we can resolve some of these issues before they before it gets to a point where you can't reconcile. You got to go your separate ways.
But I could have used that service.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to advertise that, and hopefully, I can get some first client, and just kind of see how that goes, because, I think I understand different perspectives now, and hopefully, again, like, we can solve some of this stuff before it completely sinks the boat. I'm going to continue to watch the Joyner interview. I think, from what I've seen thus far, it's worth watching. It's Math Hoffa's most recent interview. I've been impressed with how Joyner has evolved. I think it's dope for him to now be in like legit films, big films. I know that he was in a Mark Wahlberg film. I forget which one it was. And I just saw him recently in a big film, like a preview. I don't know if it was Bad Boys 4. It's a big film that he was in a preview, and I'm not sure, but this is just a message to creators to plant that seed early. Like, it was obvious, especially obviously now looking back at some of Joyner's initial videos, that he was more than a rapper, right? Things were very cinematic. He acted in his own videos. Everything he did showed you that he eventually wanted to be in movies, and now he's actually doing that. But those seeds were planted years ago. You can see the progression. You can see kind of him develop as a director, as an actor, as a brand. So a lot of those things were planted over a decade ago. A lot of those seeds were planted over a decade ago, and now he's in like legit films. So, it's kind of dope to see how he's evolved. His music has evolved, obviously has a shitload of fans now, but also the other parts of his business and other interests, those are starting to become a reality as well. So shout out to Joyner, man. I think that's dope.
Cool. Well, once again, Appreciate you tuning in to At Odds. And if you want to support us, sign up for Two Lost and use the code At Odds for 3 months of free premium distribution. Get your projects up on these platforms. You can get a lot of stuff uploaded in 3 months. It stays even if you decide not to go ahead with a paid membership. You don't have to pay a legacy fee.
Shit, don't support us. Support you. It's supporting you by using a better distribution service. So check it out. Let us know what you think. Put your experiences in the comments. I know I don't read the comments too much, Payne, but I did notice there's a lot. I get a lot of negative ones.
You should, because people have questions specifically about Two Lost, so it would help. Because I don't have answers for something that someone asked about ISRC codes the other day, and if you can use your own when you sign up to Two Lost. So, I don't have an answer.
But the last thing I want to become is like support, like social media support for Two Lost. I'm definitely down to answer some questions, but if you email support@twolost.com, you can get all your questions answered. Or if you go on the site, we have tons of help articles, and we're starting to turn some of those help articles into actual videos to make it easier for the people that don't know how to read or that don't have the patience to read. So yeah, there's a lot of support, but you can just email support@twolost.com and you'll get a response in probably a day or so. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Aaron will be there. I don't know if Dame's going to Jamaica or whatever, but I'm not. So I'll be working in the schools, but I scheduled that around my podcasting. So as long as the podcasting doesn't change the date, then I'll be back. I know people are more concerned about whether or not Aaron will be back, but I just want to delude myself for a little while. Appreciate you tuning in. Until next time. Peace.
Peace.